Let's get started.
All right, everybody, and welcome to the Bonus Stage Podcast, episode number 25. Recording this on Friday, March 29th.
3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, we almost didn't do it today, but we made it. But we made it. And you'll have to excuse Jeff's audio quality. I'm fighting some major network difficulties these days. My service provider is being a real jerk, so I'm very bandwidth limited, so his call is coming in very, very kind of grainy, and it'll get good and then bad, and it might drop out partway through the show. So we're gonna soldier on and make sure that we can do this since Jeff is coming in, even though he has a cold. So thanks, Jeff.
Yep. This is the soldier on show. I mean, last week was as well too because you were sick. So
yeah,
I couldn't be a wussy and just like, well, Lloyd was sick in last week, so now I'm just gonna take the week off. No, you gotta give her.
You gotta do it, and it's only an hour out of your life, man. You can talk to me for an hour. It's not
well, I mean, yeah. I mean, even when I'm good, talking to you for an hour is still a trial, but we'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're under lots of medication right now, so
that's true.
It'll be a better experience for you.
Yeah, in fact, it'll probably be a much easier show for me to do than usual.
Exactly. You won't get so worked up and grumpy catty.
I don't know about that.
Awesome. Well, let's get into the show. Of course, the bonus stage is our weekly gaming news variety hour. We talk about all the latest happenings in the gaming industry. We talk about all the latest game releases and games we've been playing and all that other fun stuff. We encourage you to join us live. We do this live each and every week almost each and every week, but we do it at VGPodcasts.com/live. We have our recording schedule up there, so if you ever pop by on a Friday, you'll see if we're doing a show that night or not. And we do it at 10 p.m. Central. Except for this week, we're doing it 9 p.m. Central. So that's why that recording schedule is a really good thing. So you know exactly when we're doing the show. Of course, we do tweet it out, and we do update all of our social media stuff. So you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Dasme on Twitter, DASME, and Jeff is at Jeff A. Ward on Twitter. So you can follow us, and when we're doing a live show, we'll let you know right there on the Twitters. All right, man, let's get into the show. What you been playing that isn't baseball?
Damn it. Well, you have the access to the show notes. You can lead off with a sentence like that. Yeah, lead off. That's a little baseball inside joke. Okay, so basically this week has been like, I've been sick. I've been basically sitting in bed or on the couch watching TV, and which should be the prime time for me to play games, but there's a certain level of sick where it's like my nose is just running constantly. I'm using a box of Kleenex an hour basically. I don't want to play video games like that. So I really haven't played a lot. But what I have played is MLB 12 The Show on the Vita and the PS3. I still have not gotten 13 yet. I want to get this year's version.
Right.
But I've been either really, really busy, so I haven't got out to get it, or I have been sick. So that's kind of I just haven't got out to get it yet, and I really do want it. So it will be something I'll get soon, but not right away. And because you've all heard me talk to death about it, all I'm going to say is that I've been playing it, and we'll move on. The other one thing I've been playing pretty religiously, actually, almost every day, has been Ocarina of Time on the 3DS. Finished the Water Temple, which, by the way, okay, so when I picked this game up, or when Carly did, rather, because she's the one who bought the thing and still hasn't played it yet, by the way. I'll bring in the report. She still has not played the 3DS that she bought for her. a lot of people were telling me that the water temple had been retooled to make it easier, that you didn't have to play with the levels of the water.
Yeah, it was fixed. It wasn't made less annoying. Like, it wasn't made unstupid. It's still pretty stupid, but it's not as bad as the N64 version was.
So maybe I'm just so far removed from the N64 version, but it seemed exactly the same to me. If there's anything that's different, I don't know if the levels of water next to the actual, here's where you play the song to change it, I don't know if those were on the wall. If that seems to be the only thing that's different to me, other than the fact that you can now equip the boots as an item instead of going into your gear, so you can like basically put them on and take them off really, really quickly. Is that the only thing that's changed? I mean, it's been so long since I played it on the N64, but it seemed, first of all, it still took me way too long to beat it. Mm-hmm. It was still a real pain in the ass. Luckily, the boss is easy in that temple. Like, it's not an overly powerful boss, and it's actually kind of a letdown. You go through this massive multi-tiered maze, and you're just so pissed off. You finally get to the end boss, and he's just like, it's just a water penis, basically, with, you long shot the basically the orb inside of it, and you just hack the shit out of it until it's dead. It's pretty easy. But yeah, the water temple, man, that, for people who say that Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is a perfect game, Water Temple is all I have to say to you. Like, it's not a perfect game. It's such a poorly implemented puzzle, I think. It probably could have worked in some fashion, but it just doesn't for me. I don't know. Well,
I mean, to be fair, game design was a little bit different. Like, I don't know, when the game came out, and people liked, like, crazy sprawling dungeons. These days, these days people are handheld a lot more in games. I'm just looking at the wiki to see what exactly was changed.
Okay.
And pretty much what they've done is they've added new plaques beside all of the basically beside each of the Triforce plaques in the water temple, so you know exactly what's going to happen when you play the song. You know where the water's going to go. But they've also made it so that each path leads you to the main area where you can change the water level. So you don't have to, like, kind of loop around, jump down, go to different levels in the water temple to adjust it. It's been so long since I played the N64 version that I couldn't even remember how bad this dungeon was until I played it again on the 3DS. That's the word I was looking for. And Steven in the chat room saying they color coded the map as well. So
I didn't even notice that.
They made some changes. I mean, obviously they didn't make it not terrible. It's still pretty terrible. But yeah, it's a lot better than it was.
Yeah, it's really the only it's really the only part of the game for me that, like, it just slows the pace of the game down so much. It's very easy for me to, and I'm like, again, I think I'm probably an above average player in the Zelda franchise, so I don't know if this is different for players who maybe are less skilled at the game, but for me to go through, the entire child section I can do within basically 3 hours, an hour up a dungeon, essentially. The forest temple's easy, the fire temple's easy, and then all of a sudden the game just slows right down to a crawl in the water temple, and I find myself just, like, using the Z targeting and looking around, like, where the hell am I supposed to? Okay, the water's all the way at the bottom. I did this. There's a key. I need a key. Where's the key? And then I know I got to get the long shot. And once you get the long shot, it picks up because you can access all the places you've seen 100 times because you've walked by them. Yeah. And then the last two temples, the Spirit Temple and the Shadow Temple, are really, really fun, and the game picks back up again, and it's just basically it's all downhill from there, and it's it's a ton of fun. But man, that Water Temple is just I'm surprised I got through it as many times as I've beaten that game, because I've never had a good enough memory to just, I know where to go right away. It's always pissed me off.
Right. Yeah. But, no, it's never good. It's always, but once you get past it, I mean, before it and after it's an awesome game. And even the Water Temple isn't that bad. It's just, there's a lot of retreading your path over and over and over again.
Yeah, you're right. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't like ruin the game. It's like a small bruise on the game.
Yeah.
And in fact, the Water Temple for me has the best music, the best temple music in the entire game. I think it's fantastic.
I would agree with you.
So it doesn't piss me off to keep hearing it over and over again. It's really like ethereal. I love that music. I just wish it was for a different temple. But I'm getting the I think I'm getting the light shield now or something. I'm basically just about to go to the shadow. Is the shadow temple after or the spirit temple? I think it's the spirit temple. So I'm doing the one after the water temple basically, and I'm still having a ton of fun. It's and I also got the Biggoron sword as well too. So now I'm just going around slashing the hell out of things. It's I'm surprised. Again, I say this every week, but I'm surprised how well this game holds up. It's really, really fantastic.
Right. Yeah. No. It's a great game. It really, really is. That's cool. So that's all you're playing?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff I talk about every week, unfortunately, because I haven't been able to go and pick up anything new. But I guess that's what I rely on you for. You're the new games guy these last few weeks.
I guess so, which is really odd, really, really odd. So yeah, I've been playing lots. From last week, I picked back up and beat Castlevania: Lord of Shadows, Mirror of Fate, Lost Moth on the 3DS. Soldiered my way through the game and beat it. Not an awesome game. I'm glad I finished it just so I could play it. After you beat the game, the credits are just stupidly long in an almost unreadable font.
It's like an Ubisoft game where it's like, here's every person in the entire country of Ubisoft now, because we employ 10,000 people.
It's so terrible. But so I beat it. After the credits roll, there's if you beat the game at 100%, we'll give you another cutscene. And then I kind of just laughed and proceeded to delete the game off my 3DS card. Or I didn't actually delete it. I'll leave it on because I might at some point want to get back to it. But it's like, yeah, I'll load up YouTube and figure out what that added scene is from there. Just because it's terrible. It's not terrible. It's just it's not an awesome game. It's an okay game. It's a mediocre game. I'm glad I beat it. Not eager to go back and play on a harder difficulty or anything.
I'm surprised that like we've now got 3 different opinions from you on this game. Or like at first we're like, oh, the demo's horrendous, and then you're like, actually, the game picks up. It's really, really great. Now you're like, you know what? It's just okay.
Yeah, it's about, I don't know. The game's divided into 3 acts, and a little bit more than halfway through the second act, you fight this boss, which is just so difficult. And the game is designed in such a way where once you get to about the 1/3 point, the boss changes its attack pattern, and then if you die, you respawn at that point with full life. So you don't have to you don't have to like start from scratch. Like you can kind of make your way through part of the battle, respawn, do it again, and that happens at 2/3, and then you beat the boss. So that happened almost near the end of Act 2, I guess. And then the final boss on Act 2 wasn't horrible, wasn't super difficult, but I beat him with a little bit of trouble. I think I had a sliver of health left, and then you go right into Act 3. And Act 3 is over before you know it. And then you beat the final boss. And the final boss, I didn't even lose. I think I had about 80% of my life left. I was just like destroying him. And it's like,
It doesn't sound like a challenge if you had that much left.
No. And it's just like, okay, well, I had problems with bosses from the first one up until the last like mid boss, and then the end boss you just destroy, and it's like, okay, that's kind of weird, but yeah, whatever. It is what it is. I'm glad I played it. I'm not really gonna go back and play it again.
Yeah.
So that's that. I also beat Lego City Undercover. I beat the main mission mode. I'm still going back through and collecting all of the items. There's like 350 characters, 112 vehicles, 40 red bricks, 450 gold bricks. There's a stupid amount of stuff, and I'm at just a little bit over 75% of all the stuff collected.
Wow, so you've been just crushing that game. Did you have the week off or something? You had the week off, right?
I had the week off. Yeah, I took the week off to spend with the kids on spring break. So we've been playing.
Spend
games.
The kids / play Lego Underground.
Yeah, well, I play with the kids, so we do together, and it's been a lot of fun.
That would be a great game if your kids could hop in on another controller, eh?
Yeah, that's the one thing that I'm kind of missing with this one, but yeah, hey, whatever. Maybe the next one will have it. it's pretty cool. I think I've spent almost 40 hours with the game. Like it's a large game. But I'm digging it. So I'm really glad that I played it. I'm looking forward to the 3DS prequel. So people in the chat room are saying I should change the name to Lego VGPodcasts. Yeah, I talk about it a lot, but it's a really awesome game. If you have a Wii U, you need to buy this game. You need to own it. Also,
I mean, like you said, it made your friend buy a Wii U just to play it. So that's a pretty strong game.
Yeah, exactly. And Jared, who I do the Touch of Gaming, he's almost there as well. Like he wants a Wii U just to play this game. So it's good. It's a great game. Also picked up Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon on release day, and I played through the first mansion. I think there's 5, so I'm slowly making my way through the game and just loving it. I talked about it a lot on Nintendo Pulse, so if you guys want to hear more about that game, do check out the Nintendo Pulse podcast over at VGPodcasts.com.
It's been getting great reviews across the board.
It's an awesome game. What can I say? I don't know. It's better than the first one, which is a really awesome title.
That's a great thing to say about it, because the first game was so good, but it's now become kind of an obscure game, like almost a cult game. Like
yeah, I don't
played
think it sold well. I really don't think it sold well.
It didn't, yeah. So. And I played it, and everybody who played it loved it, but nobody played it. You know, I maybe have 1 or 2 friends I know of who actually owned the game, because so few people owned a GameCube, and so few people played that game. It was just like this obscure title, and now it's great to see that this one has eclipsed it a little bit.
Totally. And for me, that was back when I rented all my games. Like I never bought games. I would rent everything. I'd buy a few GameCube titles. Like I bought the Marios, I bought the Smash Brothers, but most games I rented. So I'm really kind of upset that I didn't buy it, because I don't own it now, and I'd love to go back and replay that game. So hopefully they maybe release it somehow on the Wii U as a digital download or something. That'd be
That'd be great, yeah.
To go through and play that. So I've been playing a lot of that, and then on iOS I picked up a new game from Nimblebit called Nibble Quest, and it's an RPG that is set up like a Snake game. So you remember Snake on your old cell phone, where you basically can move left or right, and you have to eat pellets to get bigger, and you don't hit your tail and don't hit the sides. It's kind of like that, but it's with an RPG. So you have your standard RPG tropes. So you have your wizards and your warriors and your archers and other things like that. And you basically, as you kill enemies, they'll randomly drop items. Sometimes the item is a new party member for your party. They jump onto the end of your snake, and then you just go through the level killing things. It is free to download for iOS. And it is awesome. So if you have an iPhone or iPad, go pick it up now. It is such a fun game to go around and play. Just waste a few minutes at it, and then get back with the rest of your day. So yeah, that's about it. I've been playing lots of stuff. Of course, I've had the week off, so I've been spending a lot of time with the kids. And when we take small little breaks throughout the day with all of our running around, I put in a half hour of gaming, and then when they go to bed, I game some more. I don't have to get up early to go to work, so it's been good. I've really needed this week, so I'm really glad.
And all of those games are like great games to just kind of plug away for a half hour, 45 minutes, and then get back to life. You know, which is something that I've been kind of appreciating a little bit more, because, you know, when I'm busy editing or filming, I don't really have a lot of time. So it's games like Call of Duty where I can jump in 20 minutes, half hour. It's a game like MLB The Show where I can play a few innings and then just close it, or do a few things in, you know, Zelda's a long form game, but I don't have to do too much before I can close it. You know, it's not a game like Skyrim or, you know, Saints Row or something where I need to be in that world for a long period of time to feel like I've got my value. So I've been definitely appreciating games with a little bit of a shorter game window these days, because of how busy things can get, you know? Right.
Yeah, no, totally. I totally get it. Yeah, it's good. And like, for example, Luigi's Mansion is set up with 5 mansions. Each of them have 5 sections. So you replay the same mansion multiple times to get to do different things in the mansion. Different things open up and stuff like that. And none of your playthroughs in the little individual levels really take that long. Like, I think it's maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes is the most that you'll ever spend. So it's a good game just to kind of chip away at. A lot of fun. If you have a 3DS, I highly recommend it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think I think it's definitely going to be one I pick up, but not right away. There's other things I want to play first, which is kind of like brings us to the next segment. Big week for games.
Big month. This month is just stupid. Month, yeah. It's stupid.
This month, I have to assume, was bigger than... It's bigger than November of 2012.
I think
in terms of amount of games.
Yeah, I think what happened is that a lot of developers pushed their November release to like March or February or March. So you had all these great games that were supposed to be out in like December, January timeframe, November, somewhere in there. But they pushed them till March, and then there you go. Everything kind of bundled up into one huge month of game releases. It's been kind of like the holiday season earlier in the year, which has been really great.
Yeah, it's been really astonishing. So I'll just go through this list of things that were released this week. Like you said, Lloyd, Luigi's Mansion, Dark Moon 3DS. Also, that Pokemon game we talked about last week a little bit, Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity, that came out on 3DS as well. Probably the biggest one, arguably the biggest one of the week, was BioShock Infinite, Xbox 360, PS3, PC. I've heard that the PC is unlike any kind of game people have seen. It's like it runs so well on the PC, and the Xbox 360 version is like, people are saying you can akin it to running it on PC at medium settings, and PS3 is like running it on PC at high settings.
Oh, wow.
So there's a big drop off in quality. But that said, the Xbox 360, from what I've read, the biggest things about it is there's a little bit of screen tearing, a little bit of aliasing, and a little bit of muddy textures, but it's really not that big of a deal if it's the only platform you can play it on. We also had Army of Two, The Devil's Cartel, come out. That's a Dude Bro game. I know Lloyd's a big fan of Dude Bro games. It came out on the Xbox 360 and PS3. You ever play an Army of Two game, Lloyd?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I played the demo for the first one. I thought it sucked.
I rented the first one or borrowed it from a friend. I can't remember. And I was just like, all right, that's a game. And that was about it. Well, not a huge fan.
Yeah, me either. Then another one. So we talked about this a long time ago, but the game Slender on the PC. It was this little kind of indie game. Didn't look very good, but it was kind of freaky. They came out. The guy who made that game came out with a new version of it, a big up-resed version. It's got nice textures and all this kind of stuff, and it's been essentially remade for a current or more current kind of color scheme or kind of current graphics scheme. It's called Slender: The Arrival. I don't know if it costs any money because honestly, I just heard about it the other day and then forgot about it. And then when I was looking at new games, I was like, oh yeah, this is on the list. So I haven't done any research, but I have seen some videos. It certainly looks a lot better and a lot scarier too, which is, if you're looking to shit your pants and play games at the same time, this might be the thing for you.
Right.
And then a PC game that has been turned into an Xbox Live Arcade game, and it's on the PS3 network as well too, Terraria, which is essentially a 2D version of Minecraft, kind of.
Very, very good.
Yeah, I have not played it, but I've heard amazing things. The things you can build in Terraria are just, there's so much more that you can build, and it seems like a really cool co-op game to play. And I've watched a lot of videos of it as well too, but I never got the chance to play it. So maybe now that it's on the 360, I might play it and play with some of my friends on the 360. So that sounds kind of cool. And then the last big one of the week that I wanted to kind of touch on is Tiger Woods PGA Tour 14. That's on the PS3, the Xbox 360, the PC. I think there might be a Wii U release, but I don't know if it's out yet.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, I don't know. I
played the demo for it on the 360. It's not bad. I mean, for a game like a golf game that comes out every friggin' year, they've done a pretty good job of making it something you want to pick up every year. If you're a big Tiger Woods PGA Tour fan, you probably already have this, so you don't need either of our opinions on that game.
Yeah.
But it plays like a game of golf. It's really probably the nicest thing you'll ever be able to say about it.
And I don't mean to bitch at golf games. I've played Tiger Woods many of the years. I bought the Wii version. I want to say it was Tiger Woods either 11 or 12, but it was the one that had like 1-to-1 full golf swing built into it, and it was such a great game. Like I blew up my shoulder golfing on the Wii. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's with the Wii Motion Plus, right? When that was first coming out, they were like,
exactly.
"Oh yeah, Tiger Woods is going to have it,"
and it was unbelievable. But yeah, I've kind of not picked up a Tiger Woods game because I mean, I don't know, it's Tiger Woods. It's kind of run its course. How many times can you replay the same golf course over and over and over again, right?
Yeah.
But I think this year they've added LPGA tour mode into it. So when you create a character, I read some articles about that. So they're adding more stuff to it. It's just not anything that I'm overly excited about.
Yeah, that is one of the big things about this game is they've added a lot more LPGA Tour stars. They've always had a few, and you've been able to make your own character as a female, but the options to kind of, be a woman and play golf in this virtual environment have been extremely slim, almost embarrassingly slow, almost embarrassingly so.
Mm-hmm.
It's been pretty slack. So, I mean, if you were a woman golfer, you love to play Tiger Woods, now you can maybe actually play a little bit in the LPGA Tour and kind of play as your favorite stars, which is fantastic. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I won't be buying it. The thing is, like, you pick up the demo, right? And you can play as Tiger Woods. You can play 3 holes on a few different courses. That's really all I need, right? Like, I want to play golf for 8 minutes. I'll just play the demo, It'll be on my Xbox for a year.
Yeah, no.
Until PGA
totally.
Tour 15 comes out next year.
Yeah, I'm pretty much exactly the same feeling as you do on this one. Not a game that I pick up every year, but I do pick it up every once in a while just to have one or borrow it or rent it. But even though you can't really rent games in the city anymore, in many places, so it kind of sucks. Are you picking up any of these games, or do you have your eyes set on any of them?
Well, I've been invited to do a spoiler cast for BioShock Infinite, so I'm most likely going to be picking up that. But other than that, on this list, no. I want to pick up Terraria, but honestly, Tom and I have been playing Minecraft a lot, so I don't really see myself changing over. Luigi's Mansion, I'll probably, get that, but again, I've still got Zelda to play, and that will take precedent over a new 3DS game.
Sure.
Army of 2, no. Slender, maybe, if I can get it for free. If I have to pay for it, there's no way. There's no way. And then Tiger Woods, again, I'll just play the demo.
Nice.
I'll just play the demo.
I'm really looking at picking up a BioShock Infinite. I just have so many games that I have to beat before I can justify buying another game, even though I really, really want it. If you look on Metacritic, it has a Metascore of 95 right now. Which is just amazing.
It's pretty high.
From like 20, I think it's 20 critic reviews, so it's not like it's the first one or anything like that. So
hey, you know what? Before maybe we move on, did you hear about the IGN had exclusive rights that they were allowed to break the embargo on reviews basically a week early?
Yeah. And you had Kotaku that did the meta review of the IGN review of BioShock Infinite,
which I thought was very funny.
Which was hilarious. They reviewed the review. I don't know. I kind of hate that, but it's what happens. There's been companies that have done that for a long time where they allow a couple game journalism sites, gaming websites to put out the review. And then everybody else just sits there and is all angry because they don't get the hits on the first day.
Yeah, that's really what it's about, right? Adam Sessler did a great Sessler something on Revision TV about this, and he was really. I love Adam Sessler. The guy really, for me, is like probably the brightest mind in gaming journalism. I think he's the antithesis to Jeff Keighley, who is just the biggest friggin' shell in gaming journalism.
Yeah, he's a corporate shill for sure.
Yeah, every time if I ever see a Jeff Keighley video on YouTube or something, I'm like, I wonder how many bags of Doritos and Mountain Dew are behind him in this video. That's what I think is the first thing, right? But Adam Sessler basically kind of outlined it. He's like, listen, I have the utmost faith in my colleagues in gaming journalism that they're not being bought to do this review. Granted, he did say that he's like, you know what, it's definitely going to bring them a lot more revenue because their site is going to have a bunch of hits because that review is hot. It's a hot ticket item, and it's going to take away a little bit from us. So in that regard, it does kind of drive me crazy, and it sucks that because I've signed an agreement and I have an agreement with the developers that when this other reviewer is out there sharing an opinion that I've had, or the opposite of an opinion I've had for a week and I can't talk about it, that's really, it's like I want to get in that conversation, but I'm kind of forbidden to do so.
Yeah.
So he broke it down. It was really, really great. If you guys haven't subscribed to Sessler's Something, you can get it as an iTunes video cast. You can go and watch it on YouTube. I highly recommend it. The guy's fantastic. It's a really, really great episode. It kind of breaks down that whole situation, I think, in a really constructive way.
Yeah, no, he's good. Definitely really good. Yeah, I hate it, but what are you gonna do? It's been happening for so long. It really kind of sucks for people that love reading reviews at one particular website to figure out whether to go buy a game. They have to wait, but the review is usually up before the game comes up anyway, or it comes out anyway. So
yeah, like the same night or something like that.
Yeah, it's usually not a huge deal, but yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah. He also brought up actually a really interesting point that this is the only industry that has stuff like that. You don't see reviews of movies, 2 or 3 weeks before the movie comes out by one outlet. It's usually a bunch of different outlets that get to have that, or music or whatever it is. Gaming is this kind of weird, and he actually, I think what he said was, I'm going to paraphrase, I'm not going to quote him exactly because I can't remember, but he said it kind of makes the gaming industry seem a little bit more childish and less mature because we have all this infighting about exclusive reviews that seem under the table and shady when they're really not, Mm-hmm. So I thought that was a really good point as well too. Just go and watch the video instead of me telling you about it.
Yeah, it's definitely a good one to go watch for sure. I like Adam Sessler. I wish he was on the TV still, but it's good that he has something else to do.
If he's watching this podcast, come on the show, man. We would love Adam Sessler on this show.
Yes, he's watching the show right now. Can't you see him? Sessman 3000. He's in the. He's in the chat room.
Yeah, that's Adam. That's Adam. he would try to disguise his name as Sessman 3000. It seems.
Yeah, you don't know it's him.
Seems believable.
Really don't know. Okay, cool. Let's. Yeah, I think that's it for releases. What do you say we take a small break and then we get back into a big news section for this week?
Big chunk of news.
All right, so here we go. Let's hit the chiptune randomizer. And we'll see what happens. So catch you guys in a couple minutes. right, so there we go. That wasn't too bad. A little repetitive.
That was good. It did kind of
It was loud.
Very quickly, but it was good though.
It was loud in my headphones, so I had to turn down the music a little bit.
You'd have to really, like, there'd have to be a ringer that you're not aware of in your library for it to be as bad as it was that one time that we will never talk about again.
For sure.
That was a bad one.
That song was Kogeki no Kikken. Yes, from KOMH Chiptunes. So there you go. That's what it was. If you can find it, if you know how to spell Kogeki no Kikken, that's there you go. All right,
it's great to like play music you can't pronounce.
Yeah,
when Tom and I did the show on the radio station, I would omit song titles and band names I couldn't pronounce just because I didn't want to sound like an idiot.
Yeah, I get it. It's in Japanese, so you never. I don't know. I don't speak Japanese, so I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce it that well. And yeah, it came up randomly, so unfortunately I had to say it. So you win this round, Jeff Ward. All right, let's get into the news. Starting off with Battlefield 4. I guess there were some leaks, some character art leaked, some screenshots leaked, and then the trailer leaked. And then I guess Battlefield was forced to kind of come clean and announce the game fully. So it's official. Battlefield 4 is coming out, and you can watch 17 minutes of gameplay on their website.
Yeah, well, remember, I think it was last week we talked about that those people were being invited to a Battlefield event.
Yep.
So that's where all this news comes from, and they did basically the same thing they did a few years ago with Battlefield 3, and they're like, here's 11 minutes, now it's 17 of gameplay of the single-player campaign. USO's girls asking, is anyone really shocked at this? No, not at all. Battlefield 3 was very successful for EA and for DICE, and I'm glad that they're doing Battlefield 4. They're really trying to kind of like bring you into an emotional kind of roller coaster ride of a campaign. Battlefield's never been known for a campaign. In fact, almost all of the games don't have one. I think the only one that does is Battlefield 3, and it has a pretty okay campaign. It's about missing nukes, which, I mean, if there's ever to be an end game in any kind of war scenario, it's always a nuke, which kind of gets a little bit played, but it's still exciting because it's such a big thing to kind of, have in the balance. But it wasn't great, it certainly suffered from quite a bit of, very poor storytelling implementation and some characters that you didn't give a shit about that we were supposed to care about when they die. This one opens with you and 3 other guys upside down in a Jeep sinking into a river, and the guy in the back seat, his leg is crushed in behind a chair and he can't get out, and you have to shoot the front windshield of the glass and let your friend drown so that you and the other 2 guys can escape, and it's pretty intense.
Nice.
And then they go back, and it's like an hour and a half earlier or something like that, and they're fighting in some place, I don't really know where it is, and it's just a bunch of fighting. You move into cover, you blow some guy away, then they get in the Jeep and hop in, and they go into a construction site, and there's the building collapses around them, and it's really intense. I mean, the whole thing is an absolute roller coaster ride, and it looks so intense. They only showed main campaign footage. They didn't show anything from the multiplayer. I don't think they will until E3 at the earliest. Mm-hmm. It is coming out this year, which is great, and it will be available on the Xbox 360, the PS3, and the PC, and likely available on the next-gen consoles as well, just to kind of compete and maybe help sell those consoles. Mm-hmm. But it looks insane. It's on Frostbite 3, which is a big, big improvement from Frostbite 2, obviously. You're going to be driving in multiplayer, and you're going to be able to knock buildings down, drive through walls, blow stuff up. I mean, if you've ever played Battlefield Online, it is it's war. I mean, it's probably the closest thing to war I've ever played. I know there are probably Arma, it does really well at War as well too, but for me personally, out of the games I've played, it's very close. You know, there's nothing like trying to hold down a flag point on top of a building and having a tank just decide to run right through the building so that you on top of it you fall down and you're running away and the building is collapsing behind you and there's explosions.
That'll ruin your day, generally speaking.
It's just insane. It's pure insanity, and it's so fun. So I'm really excited for Battlefield 4. It's a buy on launch, absolutely. I'm sold on the campaign alone, and I know that the multiplayer is going to be there to be a real strong point of the game. So I'm very, very excited about it. I know that you're not a big shooter fan, but this might be something you want to look into just because it's going to be cool.
I love shooters. I just don't play shooters online. Anymore. I just don't really have the time to do it. So I do dig shooters. I don't play them online.
Gotcha. They also released a bunch of new screenshots as well too that are like, it's pretty intense. The guy who gets his leg trapped in the Jeep that I just mentioned earlier, when they do the flashback thing, he actually gets his other leg trapped underneath part of the building that collapses, and you have to cut his leg off. So you cut his leg off and you put him in the Jeep, and then his other leg, which you didn't cut off, gets trapped under the Jeep seat, and the guy dies anyway. So, I mean, it's a pretty intense little section of 17 minutes of gameplay. And, I mean, it goes without saying, but holy shit, man, does this game look insane. Wow. I mean, it just looks unbelievable.
Cool. Well, I'll have to go check out. I didn't check out the 17-minute video.
It's a long video, but go check out pieces of it.
Yeah, I'll have to do that. Cool. So, surprise, surprise. Battlefield 4 is coming out. I bet you guys couldn't have predicted that at home.
Yeah.
All right,
everybody's just blown away.
Exactly. Okay, moving on. Next up was some interesting allegations at GDC. Some independent game developers were at Mojang's big event, and they basically threw out the allegations that that Mojang was basically hiring people to party with geeks.
Yeah.
So,
and by people you mean women.
They're hiring ladies, multiple $100 an hour, beautiful people to come chat up the people that are in attendance. So, that was interesting. We had some game developers like Alex May from Euphoria, Alec Haloka, who's a Winnipegger from Infinite Ammo, Terry Kavanaugh, who's a Super Hexagon guy, which was kind of weird to see these things come out on Twitter. But then you had Marcus from Mojang, the founder, basically said that they didn't pay anybody to come party at Dot Party. And they've had a couple other people from Mojang come out and said that, no, we didn't do that. So kind of interesting why people would say that it happened if it didn't happen, or why a company like Mojang would deny it if it is happening. So we'll probably hear more about this in the weeks that come. But I guess the whole big deal, or the whole big story about this one is kind of big deal. Events like this, a lot of times people will hire hostesses to come and serve drinks, or to be around and mingle. It's been done before. I don't see why the big explosion online over this one. I don't agree with it, but it happens. So and like US Ozgirl in chat room says, or booth babes at any of the main gaming conferences.
Yeah. So
I don't see the huge deal that people are making over it, but I guess some people are offended over these things. So maybe that's a bit of the problem.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is that this story isn't really a story. It's just basically flush with erroneous reporting. The person who kind of compiled a story and put it on Kotaku, Brian Ashcraft, I think should really kind of he knows what he's doing. He's like, I got this great stupid story that's not a story. It's all speculation and rumor, no facts at all. It's a bunch of people on Twitter saying, hey, this is what I overheard, or this is what it looks like, or this is what I heard. It just doesn't make it's all stuff that isn't founded in anywhere close to fact, and that drives me crazy. You're putting together a story that is going to get views. I mean, shit, I fell into it just by talking about it now. But, I think Lloyd and I, we both try to report on stories that have facts.
Yep.
We either take it on really good faith, or we know that this is true and happening. We don't want to give negative or false information, because stuff like this can destroy a company's reputation. Now, granted, I don't think that our show would ever destroy a company like that, but a story like this on Kotaku, where it's got like 50,000 views in the last 12 hours, could certainly do that. And it drives me crazy that nobody, is really checking their facts. They're just all saying, this is like, Alex tweet says, overheard that these women were paid $300 an hour. You have no idea. Like, you're just saying a sentence. It doesn't, you have no facts to back it up, and that drives me crazy. Especially considering that I don't think that Mojang would do that. It doesn't seem to be them at all.
No, it's not their kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've heard of other events, other big, large game publishers that basically hire like hookers, like strippers, to come to their parties. And you hear about this stuff, and it's just like, all right, that's kind of what you see in the games industry. This one's just really kind of weird, and like people in the chat room are saying, it just sounds like people are trying to fill a page, and I don't understand why people are talking crap on Twitter, but hey, it happens. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on. Let's get to some news that did come out at GDC, and that is Unreal Engine 4 and Frostbite 3 engine will not be coming to the Wii U, which is
bad news.
Not really. These are engines that are designed for the next gen, and the Wii U is using current gen hardware. Unreal Engine 4 and Frostbite will not run on Xbox 360, nor will they run on PlayStation 3. So I guess it's kind of expected. You had who's it? One of the guys from Epic, when asked if it would run on the Wii U, he kind of like laughed out a no, and then everybody was exploding. It's like, why do you hate Nintendo? And people are going crazy. And it's like, no, I wasn't laughing at Nintendo. It's just like this engine is designed for next gen. You need next gen. Wii U, well, it's a new console, is still using current gen architecture. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me, but I guess it's more news, and I don't know, maybe it's a bit of an issue for Nintendo moving forward. I mean, you're not going to get Mass Effect, the new Mass Effect. You're not going to get any of the new shooters potentially to come out, just because, well, they're not going to run on that hardware.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying it's bad news. In fact, you actually bring up a really good point. If you kind of take a second to just understand what the Wii U is, and that it is basically a upper current gen console, of course it's not going to run a next gen engine. It just doesn't make sense. But it's unfortunate that is the fact, because you could be in a situation where you're not getting the new Battlefield. Not that you would anyway, but you might not get the new Mass Effect. There's a bunch of games that run on these two engines alone that could hurt Nintendo's bottom line, and it could hurt just the amount of third-party games that come out for the Wii U. I'm not, again, this isn't something that we can speak in fact on, but it's something we can kind of speculate on and try to come with a little bit of maybe, I don't know, what the hell am I trying to say here? I've completely lost my mind.
I don't know. I think your cold medication is doping you up. Yeah, I mean, what you're going to have is you're going to have a developer that is going to target Unreal Engine 4 for the newer consoles, and then they'll have a fallback target when they compile for Unreal Engine 3. The engines are similar enough for the way everything but kind of the visuals work, so it probably won't be that much of a development process for them to do that. You're not going to get like the latest and greatest, like most amazing looking game on the Wii U, but I don't think that's what that console is anyway. I don't think that's what it was ever intended for. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, obviously people are going to talk about that. I think it's kind of a problem for the long-term viability of the platform, but I guess Nintendo thinks they know better, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So my question is, if if we're not going to have, because obviously the Frostbite 3 and Unreal 4 will not run on the Xbox 360 or the PS3, how are we getting Battlefield 4? Like, are they taking that, building it on the Frostbite 3 engine, and then essentially crushing it down using some sort of Frostbite 2 compression so that it plays on last-gen consoles? Is that how they do it? I don't know for sure.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's being created on Frostbite 2, and then when they come out with the next gen versions, they're just going to add extra pretty textures and shaders and fog and a lot of particles. So it's not actually going to be a Frostbite 3 game. It's going to be a Frostbite 2 running with some of the graphical features under Frostbite 3.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Since the engines they're pretty much the same engine. They just have added features when you move up. Like Unreal Engine has pretty much been the same from its initial release to the current one. You still have to do some work when you move from one to the other, but a lot of the features are still the same. But yeah, that's what I would assume anyway, would be what they would have to do.
Makes sense.
Yep. All right, moving on. OUYA. They had a big event at GDC. They've announced that there's over 100 games that are going to ship day one. They announced that they're shipping out the console to people that back them on Kickstarter. I guess mine will be in the mail sometime over the next few weeks to a month, since I thought I backed right when it started. Turns out I didn't back until 2 days before it ended. So
that actually sounds more like you, where you always forget until it's just about to expire.
It's like I get the notification in my email that, oh, this is a Kickstarter ending soon. It's like, oh crap. So I went and backed it. So my OUYA is going to be coming out sometime before it ships to the general populace, which we found out this week that is June 4th. So if you've pre-ordered on buyouya.com or whatever, or ouya.tv, something like that, whatever their website is, I can't recall off the top of my head. If you've pre-ordered it, it will start shipping on June 4th. It's going to be $100 for the console and a controller. If you want a second controller, it's going to be $50. So pretty much what's been expected. Some interesting things is amongst the launch games, there are some emulators included. So already approved for the OUYA marketplace are an NES, a Super NES, and N64 emulators that will run on your console. Not super surprising. We chatted about this on Nintendo Pulse. Myself and Steven chatted about it. Yeah, I mean, it's not super surprising. If you go to the Google Play Store, there's emulators there. If you're an Android developer, to make your game or application run on the OUYA, it's just you just have to recompile it with the SDK for OUYA. Not super surprising, but if you look on a lot of the
do you know how much their SDK is?
The SDK, it's free.
It's free. Okay, that's great.
Yeah, so it's free to create a game for OUYA. So yeah, I mean, if you look on a lot of the Nintendo Love websites, there's people that are saying that Nintendo's going to sue them out of existence and yada yada yada. I don't think that's going to happen because emulators really aren't illegal. It's if you download pirated software, that is the illegal part. But an emulator itself is just simulating a piece of hardware. So it's not technically illegal for someone to create an emulator, and unless you're including parts like copywritten parts of the BIOS inside your emulator, which none of these people do. They have you load the BIOS that someone else has ripped, so you have to load up the BIOS first, and then you load up your pirated ROMs, and there you are, you're playing a game that you've never purchased. So yeah. Not surprising, not such a big story, but if you look online, I mean, people are going crazy, or people are saying that this is the best thing ever. I don't really understand what the big furor is, but apparently some people are angry about it.
Are you excited to get yours?
I really want to get my OUYA. I want to see what it is.
So are you more excited just out of like curiosity, or you really, really have like high hopes and you're excited to have this console?
I'm curious about it. I'm more curious about it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. OUYA. Are you interested in one at all?
No. I you know what? No, I'm not. I can't even begin to even start to get excited about it. Like, I'm at a point where, and this is like, I don't think it's a stupid console. I don't think it's garbage or anything like that. I just couldn't care less, you know. At $100, it's not like you're taking a huge financial risk on it.
No.
And if they're accurate in saying that, yeah, it's gonna have 100 games on launch, which are probably gonna be a lot of Android games to kind of pad it out, which is fine. It's not a big deal. It costs less than most iPhones, right? It costs less than most Android phones. So you're coming in at a lesser price point to have the same library of games. You can play it on your TV. I mean, it works out there at least, right? But
check the chat room, Jeff, for a second.
Making crazy noise.
Yeah.
Sorry. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. I don't care.
I don't know. It's something that's cool. It's open source. Anybody can develop an app for it, and basically submit it to the App Store. That's pretty cool. Everything on the store is free to begin with in-app purchases to unlock it. So you can try free versions of every game that you download. The one thing that's kind of interesting is you're going to require some valid form of payment when you create your account before you can download anything. So any of the apps, you need to have a credit card or some other form of, payment registered with OUYA. A lot of people were going crazy about that, but I mean, it's the same thing like the iOS App Store. You have to have a credit card with it. You can download free titles without it, but
is good.
Most people put their credit card in, or they preload it with like iTunes credit. So it's not unheard of, but yeah, it is something that you really have to think about, which you might not.
And it actually shouldn't really shock that many people, seeing as you can only buy it online. You can't go into a store and pay cash, right? You basically have to purchase the thing with your credit card anyway. So just attach your credit card to it when you get it, so you can buy some games. It's
a lot of people are concerned about giving their credit card information to a new company that is no one knows anything about them, and I agree with that. So I'm hopefully going to be just punching in my PayPal information. They won't have access to my PayPal account. They'll just send me. I guess I'll use PayPal to fund it. I'll drop $20 on my OUYA account or whatever. There'll have to be some way to do it that way. So it's not such a huge deal to me, but I know a lot of people are going crazy about that as well. People like to go crazy online, Jeff. I don't know if you've heard that before.
Yeah, they tend to kind of get all up in arms about stupid things. I think PlayStation, regardless of what I think about the actual online architecture, has the best architecture for actually buying things. You just basically put your credit card on there, you load your wallet with money, and then you use the wallet instead of using your actual credit card. I think that's a really nice way to do it, and kind of keep your information safe.
That's great.
Until they get hacked and it's down for months, and
which is why I don't put my credit card information with in my PlayStation anymore. After the hack, I don't do that with anything. I don't think.
I only do it with my Xbox. Which I shouldn't have said online. Okay, I don't do it anymore. I just took it off.
Well, I buy points cards for everything. So I load up my iTunes account with iTunes points or iTunes credit. I do the same thing with PlayStation. I do the same thing with my Wii U and my 3DS. So I buy a lot of cards, but I'd rather do that than have my credit cards in a bunch of different things. I don't know.
The only thing that's bad about cards is if you don't if you're only buying a few things every year, you end up getting ripped off, because a lot of the cards are set, for Microsoft anyway, are set at obscure price points where you have to buy more than you need just to buy something, which is just always driven me crazy about the Microsoft system.
Yeah.
PlayStation's great. Just buy what you need on your wallet, and that's it, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, which is kind of the same thing. You have to preload it with a set amount. So yeah, I don't know. I buy enough stuff where even if I have $5 sitting on my account for a year, I'm not going to cry, oh my God, they ripped me off for $5. Think of the interest I could have made on that $5 if it was in my checking account.
It could have been $5.67 by now.
And it would have been $5.01 with the way interest really works. But yeah, I don't bitch about that. If people want to do that, then just buy the game with your credit card. Put your credit card in, boom, there you go. You don't have to worry about it. Except for Xbox, you still have to buy at least 800 points.
Oh, that point system is
the smallest you can do. Anyway, that was a bit of a rat hole. But yeah, OUYA shipping on June 4th. Let's move on. Even though the head of Square Enix stepped down this week, their games are selling well. So I don't understand why they're having such financial difficulties. It was announced this week that Tomb Raider has sold 3.4 million copies in a month.
Wow.
But apparently that missed Square Enix's own internal sales predictions. They projected that they'd sell more than 3.4 million copies.
Who are these people? Yeah, so Tomb Raider, it's a game, basically, this is I'm speaking as the company, that has a pretty good cult following, but its track record in recent years has been terrible. I believe that this reimagining of a game where people are really rolling the dice to go and buy it is going to sell 10, 15 million copies in 30 days.
Yeah,
that seems about right.
I don't understand about sales projections. Like when a game as successful as Tomb Raider is missing their projections, well, then you're projecting way too high. Publishers
they all do.
Yeah, publishers are crazy. I think that's the problem. Like independent developers, they sell 100,000 copies. They're happy because it funds their company for the next year. They sell 3.4 million copies for a big company like Square Enix, and next thing you know, they're complaining because it's not enough, and they're going to lose money this year, for a lot of money apparently this year.
Yeah, I think the thing that gets down to it was the people who are making these projections don't have a good idea of what the gaming industry is like. I think they're the same people who make projections on other industries and do okay.
I don't think so. I know where you're coming from, but I don't think that's right. I just think that they like the thought of making money and they want to justify the existence of all these studios that are making games. So they project that a game is going to sell a lot because they know that if they're spending X number of millions of dollars on this game to create it, they have to reap back this other column of millions of dollars. And the only way they can do that is project that this game is going to sell like 5 million copies in the first month.
Which is insane. I mean, only Call of Duty and big games like that do that kind of numbers, you know?
Yeah. There's like a handful of Wii games that have sold that kind of numbers, and the Wii is a very popular console that a lot of people have. So not that it's the most popular, but yeah, it's just like why would you think that it's going to sell more? Anyway, not to belittle the point, $3.4 million is awesome, or 3.4 million copies is great. That means that most likely we're going to get a sequel, which is awesome because the game was amazing. You need to play it if you haven't already. Yeah,
and at a $60 price point, that's, what is that, $204 million basically. I mean, not to whatever the wholesale prices of that game, cut that down, but I mean that's a lot of money in 30 days. I mean, Kyle was saying that I don't know if this is fact or something, but he's saying it's cost them $100 million to develop that game.
Wow.
That sounds really high.
Well, apparently it was in development for many years, like
that'll suck a lot of money out of it.
4 years or something. So if they make $25 on every game sold, that's $85 million. So yeah, that wouldn't cover the cost of development. Of course, this game is going to continue to sell. So
yes, to double your money in a month is really, really good. Any other industry, any other person would be thrilled with that.
Well, if it costs them $100 million, they haven't actually gotten to the $100 million in a month. If they only make $25 per game, I know that if they're selling it digitally, they're making a lot more than what the wholesale rate is. But yeah, I don't see why they're complaining too much. But I'm not a game publisher, so maybe I don't know what the story is.
25,000 at 3.4 million is 85 million, so they're close.
That's what I said.
Yeah, you're right. They're close.
Very close. So yeah, it sold really well. We can expect a sequel in the next year or so, I'm sure.
I still haven't played it yet. It's one of the games I want to get so bad, but I need to leave this friggin' house. God damn. Gotta get out of here.
Yeah, you should really get out.
Games,
get out and see the world, man. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Microsoft has announced something new this week. They're launching something called Microsoft Play and Earn for Xbox Live rewards. It's launching April 1st, and it's also called My Punch Card. So it has two names, apparently. It doesn't really make sense. So all the way throughout April, Xbox Live users who play arcade titles or buy arcade titles to add to their collection will earn rewards. And they do that by blacking out punch cards, digital punch cards that are in your account. So if they point out that there's 3 ways to earn rewards over the coming month. Play 20 hours of any combination of Xbox Live arcade games, and you receive a free avatar item.
Woo!
Awesome. I'm super stoked about that. No, I'm
I'm
not.
firing up my Xbox right now to get that.
If you purchase any 4 arcade games for 400 Microsoft points or more from Xbox Live, you receive 1 extra month of Xbox Live Gold membership.
That's actually not a bad deal.
Not bad. I mean, what's a month of Xbox Live? If you buy a year, it's what, $50? So
Yes,
a month is like $4.50. It's probably closer to $5. So you spend 400 Microsoft points is $5. So you spend $20. So you get 25% of your money back in Xbox Live Gold time. So no, it's not too bad, I guess.
If you're gonna buy the games anyway, it's actually a pretty decent trade-off.
Yeah, exactly. And if the last one is, if you if you buy $3,200 or 3,200 points worth of arcade games, Microsoft will give you 800 points in return.
So spend $40, get 10 back, which also isn't all that bad.
You're getting a quarter of your stuff in return. So I guess this is competing with what Sony did last month, or the month of March actually, where you spend $50 online and they give you $10 back. So it's a little bit better, a little bit more spendy than what PlayStation is doing, but that's what they're doing. It's really weird. They're saying like, just black out your punch card and we'll give you free stuff. It just seems kind of really odd to me, but anyway, it's running for the month of April, so go check it out if you're an Xbox Live arcade game player. So you'll get it back. And yeah, as Stephen said in the chat room, it's also like the my digital premium rewards thingy or whatever, the Wii U my digital deluxe promotion. I can't even remember what they called it, but where you get 10% of your game sale back is as points. So you buy a $50 game, you get $5 worth of points that you can then turn into a voucher and then apply to future game purchases. I guess that's the same type of thing that Microsoft is doing. But it's not a permanent thing. It's just a 1 month thing. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, Microsoft also has this other thing that's tied to gamer score. If you have over 20,000, I think it's 20,000. If you have over 20,000, you essentially get 2% back in Microsoft points purchases, which seems like nothing, because it is really, when you think about it, it's nothing. But for just earning achievements, whoops, I hit my mic there. It's not that big of a deal. So I don't know if this is like, if they'll run together, if they're going to try to start something new, or this is a trial run kind of thing. Again, if you're going to be spending the points, really, it's like, okay, that's cool. And a lot of new arcade titles are going to be coming out in April. Mm-hmm. So part of me wants to be mad, but for a reason I can't even understand. I'm like, they're just trying to get money out of me. But like, yeah, it's a business. Of course they are. What the hell have I thought? What am I talking about?
All these promotions are just ways to drum up more business.
Essentially, yeah. And
it's good to see Microsoft jump on it as well.
Yeah, for me, Microsoft with this and their other promotions that they've done, where if like for the Summer of Arcade, if you bought all the games, you essentially got one of them for free by them giving you the points back. That's a pretty sweet deal. They've been doing that for a few years now. Sony with the promotion you just said, and the companies who can get every friggin' free cent out of your wallet without you getting mad. That is a skill in today's age. Mm-hmm. And it's something that people will pay money for if you have that skill. So if this works for them, which it probably will, I don't see it ever like blowing up in their face. We're right now, everything is just kind of setting the stage for how much more money can we get? Is it pay to play? Is it freemium? Is it, microtransactions? Is it this? Is it subscription based? Everybody's just like, we're just throwing a bunch of darts at the board, seeing how much money these things return. And it's kind of interesting to see. We're in this weird phase of the gaming industry where people are like, hey, we want more money. Let's try to figure out how to get it without raising the price of games, because nobody in the gaming industry has the balls to do that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Bizarre.
Yeah.
Bizarre. All right, moving on. Let's get to our next story. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about how Skullgirls, the game Skullgirls, was running a Kickstarter, not to raise money for a new game, but to raise money for free DLC for the current game. So people that own the game will get these characters for free just by this Kickstarter succeeding, which is pretty cool. So the Kickstarter did really well. It ended,
really well.
Or sorry, it's not it wasn't a Kickstarter. It was an Indiegogo. I keep calling it a Kickstarter, even though it's not. It's an Indiegogo. So it raised. They had a goal of 150,000, and they raised $829,827. So they raised a lot. They raised more than they even assumed that they would raise, which is great. So basically, what that means is that there's going to be 5 DLC characters added for free to the game. So this will be coming over the next year, and apparently they got a bunch of unexpected additional funds. So the next or the last mystery character will get a stage and a storyline as well. It's not just It's not just going to be another a character that will show up for multiplayer. So yeah, that's amazing. The fact that they raised almost $1 million to add free content to a game that they had already sold to people just makes me wonder why publishers really exist anymore. There's so many other ways to go and fund a game, even though they are going through a publisher. So I guess they needed it at one point in their existence. But the fact that they're getting all this money from people that love their game just shows, like, for anything, like for if you want to make a movie, if you want to make a television series, and people already love the stuff you do, people will pay you to do what you already love to do, so you can keep doing it. And I said do way too often.
I think the problem with maybe why publishers are still here in this world for anything books, music, movies, games, is because they have the proper channels and the proper connections to actually make sure that people view and appreciate that content, and you make money off of that content. If you did it by yourself, granted, there are millions of ways at this point to get all that, but they could all be for naught, I mean, to have a marketing budget, to be able to put advertisements on TV, the proper channels of where I'm going to, figure out distribution, where do we got to get our discs printed and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, having a publisher, they can just snap their fingers and do that, and you don't have to think about it. I think that's where the strengths of having a publisher are. And because if you need more money, they can just toss it at you. If you think you need $125,000 in a Kickstarter and you're like, shit, we needed like 175, the problems arise there. But it's really, really cool that, they asked for $150,000, which is not a small amount of money. And the fans of this game are like, let's give them nearly $1 million. That is so impressive. It's actually kind of scary. It's like, holy man, that is insane. Those people we're sitting there in their tiny little studio going, wow, we've got more work to do. Like our jobs are okay for the next year or so. It's like, that's really awesome news.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty amazing, but that's good. It just means that maybe other awesome games from people that have already made awesome games will continue to go on, which is a really good thing. Speaking of raising money, the creators of Darksiders, who basically are no longer at THQ, and then basically saw the fruits of their labor basically be put on the auction block for anybody that wants to buy it, are basically tweeting that they want to get Darksiders back. Basically, Crytek USA is made up of basically people that left Vigil Entertainment that made Darksiders, and they want it back. So they are, I guess, going to be bidding for the rights to Darksiders. So how cool would that be?
Game.
Yeah, how cool would that be for the people that made the game for a company that then lost the rights to the game because they no longer work at that company and the company owned the IP, to now hopefully get it back. And you could see Darksiders carry on from like the original vision of the original creators. That's a pretty awesome thing.
If they can get it for the right price and it doesn't hurt them in the future, I mean, that's awesome.
I mean, even if they got it for the wrong price, they have the rights to the games, which are still selling.
Yeah, it did sell really well, and I know that there's a massive fan base for that game. I am not it, but there's just people who are there. When you put this story on there, I went and I looked, and I put into Twitter, and I was just looking at. There's so many other people that don't even work with the company who are like, yes, you got to get it back. They're like, I think they're probably There was some guy, oh shit, I can't remember who it was, but they were like, we're gonna maybe set up a forwarding address if you want to mail in donations or something so that we can put your money towards us getting our game back. That's really, really cool, you know?
Yeah, it is kind of neat. Yeah, Darksiders still sells really well. There's a Humble bundle going on right now, the current Humble weekly bundle that ends in 3 days when we're recording this. So depending on when the show gets to your ears, might already be done. For $6.70 right now is the average. You get Darksiders 1, you get Red Faction Armageddon, you get Darksiders 2, and you get Red Faction Guerrilla. So you get like 4 really awesome THQ games for less than $10, which is pretty damn amazing. So people love the game, and it's sold really well. It'd be really great for Crytek to get the rights of this back, so we can kind of see it continue on. I like Darksiders. I was a fan of the first one. I haven't played 2 yet, and I want to do that. I picked up the Humble bundle, so I might have to end up actually playing it on my PC.
Yeah, I've never played it, basically because I never had the desire to. But like I said, I know lots of people who are like, man, what's wrong with you? Get this game, play it, you know? So maybe one day, but probably not.
Yeah, it's hopefully it makes it, and then you'll have a chance to play it on whatever next generation system it gets remade for.
Yeah, that would be cool. And it would just be a really cool story, you know? It's something that doesn't happen very often, you know? It's like... I don't even know what it's like. Like, there's nothing to akin it to. Like, maybe if you lost your house to the bank and then it was auctioned off and you bought it again from the bank or something. That's, you know, that's kind of what it's like. If anybody's ever experienced that, I hope not. But it's just such a unique situation.
Totally. Sorry, I was just grabbing something from the shelf behind me for the next story. Game designers are a little weird, eh?
A little.
They're a little bit bizarre. Case in point, game designer Jason Rohrer. He made a couple independent games, the Castle Doctrine, and Diamond Trust of London, which was actually a Kickstarter that I backed. So I have my my sealed copy of Diamond Trust of London here for the Nintendo DS.
You never played it?
No, it's still sealed, and it's signed by the developers, which is kind of cool. But he's made a game, but no one's going to play it. He's designed a game, and it is meant to be played 2,000 years from now. And what he's done is he's basically taken all the details about this game, and he's, laid out all of the instructions in a way that a future civilization, even if they don't speak English, will be able to piece together what he meant by this. He then took all of this stuff, basically, and he stuck it inside of a Pyrex glass tube, so very, very hard glass that can withstand a lot of heat. And then he took that Pyrex glass tube and he put it into a titanium baton, so really, really hard metal. And then he took it to the middle of a desert and buried it out there in Nevada somewhere where no one knows where it's going to be.
Right next to E.T., I think.
I think that's exactly where it is. And he's buried it. And he hopes that sometime in the future, someone will discover this and then play his game when he's already dead and will never experience the joy of someone playing his game. Confuse you yet? Because it's confusing me. He said about the only thing that he knows about this game is that he has a precise GPS location of where this game, and he's calling this game a game for someone, which is interesting. And when he gave his talk at GDC this year, he handed out a couple hundred envelopes. He put an envelope on each of the chairs in the talk, and on the front of the envelope it said, please do not open yet. And then during the talk, he basically said, okay, if you open it up, each one has a set of 900 GPS coordinates. So one of you has the coordinates for where this game is, but don't go try it. Don't go find it, because I want people to find it in 2,000 years. So basically what he said is that if there's 1 million total GPS unique GPS coordinates, and he estimated that if one person visits a GPS location each day with a metal detector, the game will be unearthed sometimes within the next million days, so 2,700 years. So it's like this crazy thing. There's going to be a bunch of really crazy people that are going to try to decipher. They're going to look at all these coordinates, kind of figure out likely locations for it, and look for some signs of like a truck or someone that has dug a hole or something. Even though it's in a desert, it's going to be the sands are going to blow over, so a lot of that stuff is just going to disappear. But there's probably going to be a set of people that are really going to try to find it.
But then, how the hell do you get inside? Like it's in a what you said it was an aluminum tube or whatever, right?
Pyrex and titanium.
Pyrex and titanium. If they find it, how the hell are they supposed to get inside of it?
I'm sure it opens easily, because they would not want people in the future to think it's just a piece of metal and melt it down. It's probably identified somehow for people to open it up.
Maybe the game is finding this game, and when you find it, it's nothing, and it just says you win. Like, holy shit, that would be so. First of all, I'd be pissed off if I spent like 10 years or whatever finding it.
Yeah,
it's like the Tonby tiles or whatever in the States, and it's like, oh no, I got it, I got the game, and it's nothing. It's like, the F you, guy.
Apparently, he's never even played the game himself. So he built this game. Well, it's like a board game or whatever.
Yeah.
He basically built this game in a computer. So it's a set of computer models. And he designed a set of rules that would be play tested by the computer, like an artificial intelligence that he wrote. And then he basically plugged all those rules into a black box program. The AI figured out imbalances, created new rules by iteration until it was perfect as far as the AI could see. And then after this was done, he never saw what that end like result is. So he doesn't even know if the game is actually going to be any good. So he says. And then he took all that stuff, bundled it, packed it up, and now it's out there somewhere in the desert. I hope that it's like watertight. It'd suck if there was like some seal issue and then it basically filled up with water, even though deserts don't get a lot of water. But if they ever get like a big monsoon in 1,000 years, this thing would like kind of soak, and then it would be just nothing in another 1,000 years or whatever.
I believe IGN has the exclusive review on it near 2127 or something like that.
Stay tuned for the Kotaku meta
review of the review.
Yeah, coming.
Do you like, okay, do you believe him? Do you believe this story, or do you think?
Yeah, he's crazy. This dude is insane. Sorry, he's not crazy. That's a little crazy to say that he is crazy. He's eccentric. We'll say he designed a game on the DS that you need to play with someone else that has another copy of the game, and it's essentially just a board game. You can do a download from this game to another Nintendo DS, but you essentially need 2 Nintendo DSs to play his game. And then he sold it on Kickstarter with actual, like I got little bits from the Diamond Trust of London. So some old diamond company, I got little tiny bits. I got some postage stamps and some little bits of ore that samples that they took to figure out where diamonds were in this mine. Like this guy is weird, but in the most awesome way that you can be weird, right? Yeah,
the creatively weird.
So the fact that he did this is awesome. Whether someone finds it in 1 year or 2,000 years, who knows? But he spent a chunk of his life doing this stunt. So I guess we'll see what comes of it. Maybe he'll design a game based on this game that he has never played, but the game will be hiding a game that you've never played somewhere, so no one else will ever find it.
Yeah, so weird. Weird.
So bizarre, eh?
But like I would as much as I want to know what it is, I would actually be a little bit upset if somebody found it in a couple of months or something.
Yeah, I mean, I would love it. It would be awesome, because then we'll see what he does to up the ante a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said that he drew up some sort of algorithm to find the best place in the desert to put it, which is away from all of the common areas where people would happen onto it. And he's the only person that knows it. He went out by himself to bury this, and it's just like, wow, dude, you're weird, but I love that you're so weird, and keep doing your weird stuff, because I want to experience it in the future. All right, moving on. Last but not least, remember how we talked about Retron a couple episodes ago?
I believe so. Yes.
And then we said the Retron 4 was coming at the Midwest Gaming Classic or whatever it was called. Well, that was a blatant lie. The Retron 4 was never showed off. The company is a liar. Instead, what they showed off was a Retron 5. So they didn't design a 4. They designed a Retron 5, and they've made it better. So we talked about this. It's a retro gaming system that plays real cartridges from old game systems, and you plug it up to your television. And the reason why I was so interested in the Retron 4 was that it had HDMI. Well, the Retron 5 is that and more. This system plays NES, Famicom, Super NES, Super Famicom, Genesis, Mega Drive, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and regular Game Boy Black and White games. It has 5 slots, so it has an NES Famicom slot, a SNES Super Famicom slot, a Genesis Mega Drive slot, a Game Boy Advance slot, and a Game Boy Color and Game Boy slot. And it has cartridge ports for all of the original, it has controller ports for all the original controllers for those consoles as well. So if you have
that's a great feature, by the way.
Yeah, if you have them, you plug them in. If not, you use one of the included Bluetooth ones, and you play the games. It outputs in HDMI 720p, which is amazing.
And upscales to 720p as well too, which is really nice.
Yeah, so basically the developers are saying this is some of the best emulation that has ever been done at the hardware level on these things, because it's doing all of the quirks and stuff that the original hardware did, but then it's emulating all those quirks, all those really weird scanline and hardware issues and interpolation and drawing things between like the actual like laser inside your old CRT. It's emulating all that stuff and then putting in such a way that you can still kind of see the effects of it on your HD screen, an LCD that doesn't have a laser actually drawing all these pixels on your screen.
Yeah.
Really, really amazing. It's going to be coming out before the end of July. They hope. They haven't set a price. They said it's under $100.
Which is amazing.
The current Retron 3 is about $50, so I could see this one being probably $79 or so. But I really, really want one of these, so I'm going to have to find a way to put a pre-order. I'm going to talk to P&P Games and see if they're going to be bringing them in. They sell the Retron 3, so I assume that they would be doing this.
Yeah, they have to.
But I want one of these because I want to start playing some of my old games because I don't have a television that can currently display a lot of the games that I would like to play.
Yeah, like last week I said, or it was the week before, whenever we talked about this, I was like, it sounds okay. I'm not really into it. Now that there's details and that they're legitimate details and it's actually better than we thought, I want one as well too. If the picture in this article as well too, that's the picture of it, right?
Yeah, it's this really sweet looking black obelisk awesome. with white lights and
the controller looks cool as well too.
It looks futuristic, but futuristic from like the 80s.
Yeah,
like how things in Tron look futuristic. It looks kind of like that. It's like retro futuristic, which is even more cool. I can't wait to get one of these. We'll definitely be talking more about this on the show as the time goes on. But yeah, it supports a whole bunch of really great systems. I'd love to play my old Game Boy games without having to dig out my old the
GBA thing is something that I value to be really, really high. NES and SNES, I have that with my Retro Duo, but to also have GBA, regular Game Boy Color is also fantastic. And then let's just add Genesis in there as well too. And then it'll also play cartridges from the Famicom. It's like holy shit, and it'll upscale everything to a really respectable 720p HD with HDMI as well too.
Yeah, and apparently they're announcing that it has 100% compatibility too. So like your Retro Duo won't play some NES games. It won't play some games just aren't supported. It just doesn't know how to do it. This will apparently work with everything except for light gun games, obviously, because you don't your screen does not. Light guns basically work at figuring out what part of the screen has been drawn by the way that it flashes, and you can tell. Light guns won't work, but everything else will work. It's pretty amazing. I can't wait to pick up one of these bad boys. And we'll have to do a retro gaming show, a segment,
absolutely.
Talking about some old games. Maybe I'll hook this thing up into like an HDMI capture card, and we could do some live streaming stuff. It would be pretty awesome to live stream like old NES and SNES titles.
Totally. Another thing that they say in this as well too that's really, really fantastic is that there's an option to render audio at a higher output frequency, which gives you like cleaner audio output, which is a problem that if you've ever had a Retro Duo or anything like that, you notice a lot of pop and static and things that are just, it's just the technology and the way it's made. I mean, it's all RCA as well too, which is, you shouldn't have that. It's just the kind of thing that you have to deal with when you're doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, like old hardware. Basically, the stuff was designed around old hardware, and it had inherent fonts. Fonts. It had inherent faults. It had inherent fonts, I guess, maybe, depending on your television.
It's faults and flaws at the same time.
So it had some faults, but the stuff was designed around it. Like a lot of old games would look at how fast the screen was refreshing to know where we would have to make sprites appear and disappear amongst the refresh to make it look or to have more things on the screen than the hardware was capable of. They did all these weird hardware tricks. And the same with audio. Like you had things that were having audio come out in like 11 kilohertz. So it sounded okay because the speaker was crap. But if you play it back on a modern PC that can, like through an emulator or something, your audio card is much better than what was inside your television at the time. Yeah. So the fact that they're doing that is pretty awesome as well. Yeah, and it also supports save states, so you can pause a game and save a save state. So if you're trying to beat a game that you can't, if you're playing like the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the NES, which was really, really difficult. Ugh. You could have a save state before you go into any sewer, and if you die, you just resume from your save state, just like a real emulator would do. But this is playing on your brand new 60-inch like LCD television that you have mounted on your wall. How freaking awesome is it? I gotta get me one of these. So
I gotta get one too.
It's awesome. I can't wait. Anyway, so that's Retron 5. We'll talk more about this when it gets released, hopefully before the end of summer.
But you know what? I have no problem waiting for good products if they need some time to kind of iron out some kinks, but summer sounds great. I mean, I would love to play a bunch of retro games this summer, and then that makes it so that, you know, you and I, Lloyd, we can go out to these flea markets and videotape these other shows that we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've got this other kind of, now we can play them as well too and kind of, make the videos better. So I think it lines up really great with how kind of we want to do things in the future. So I'm excited. I really want one of these things now. And a couple weeks ago, I didn't care.
I'm always happy to spend your money, Jeff.
I know you are.
Awesome. Well, that's going to about do it for the show. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks everybody in the chat room. We had a really active chat room. Sorry I wasn't typing as much as I would have liked. We didn't have as many pauses or breaks in the show. So thanks to the dozen or 15 people that are in the chat room right now. Love to see you guys here, and thanks for showing up each and every week. Thanks everybody that's subscribing to the show. You can go to VGPodcasts.com, or you can actually subscribe right from the page or in iTunes. Just do a search for Bonus Stage in iTunes. Subscribe to the show, and you'll get each and every episode delivered to you as soon as it comes out on whatever podcatcher you use. If it's your iPhone, if it's whatever, you'll get it right there, and that's super convenient. We want to hear from you. Head on over to VGPodcasts.com and click contact us at the top of the page. You can email us at VGPodcasts@gmail.com, or join our forums there at VGPodcasts as well, or call our voicemail line, which is area code 505 VG Podcasts. So Jeff, thanks again for joining me, even though you're sickly, Mr. Sickly.
Yeah, you know what, but we did the show an hour early, so, I can go to sleep now, and I can get a good sleep and wake up and do an entire day of filming tomorrow and editing, so I'll be good.
Yeah, good.
I'll be good.
I'm happy to hear it. All right, guys, thanks for for joining us for yet another episode of the Bonus Stage. We'll talk to you in a week. Take care.
See ya.
Oh, fail.
Let's
there we
get
go.
started.